Oh,
hey guys! Thank you so much for joining us. We figured that this would be a good time to chat with everybody just to figure out what's going on. We're gonna give people time to get in because we know, everybody's used to us starting everything late, but we're actually on time because we've got people for that.
So, go team, let's live the dream.
So we figured, how do we see the attendees? Like, how to know, like, the amount of attendees?
Right there.
14. Okay.
Yeah.
So
50.
Oh, look at people coming on.
Click that one.
Yay. Okay,
So
cool.
up there in that corner.
That's not my
Okay,
hand.
awesome.
Oh yeah, sorry, hello.
Our team's here. We'll give you guys a quick intro to them. So we figured we are actually shooting this in our new Airbnb, right? So this is actually our 11th space that we're going to be launching right after this. So pretty excited, but I do all the design and I absolutely love it. And it's so much fun because I love sourcing the, we use a lot of used furniture and buy and sells, all that kind of stuff and whatever. So I would love to start this by taking you guys on a tour. So yeah, that's what we'll start with. And then we'll, that'll take maybe like 5 minutes. And then after that, you guys can, in the meantime, why don't you guys ask us questions? If you guys want to put your questions in the chat, and then once we're done the tour, we'll come back and we'll be able to answer. And we just wanted to do this to talk about anything you guys want to talk about. So
yeah, it can be anything. It could be related to what have we done to pivot and adapt with the situation that's happening in the world? What have we done to keep things going? All those kinds of scenarios are open conversation. We're super excited to hear what you have to ask us. If we don't get a lot of questions, Rochelle and I will pick a topic and we'll just go with that.
Yeah, everybody who knows us knows we can talk.
That is never a problem.
Okay, so we're gonna start the tour now. How are we doing that?
Just
lift it, I go.
So obviously we're working in the living area, so it's not going to be exactly what it is or whatnot, but let's go into the bedrooms. So over here. Oops. So, okay, maybe go in that bedroom. I don't know what they can see though. It's hard to see the camera. You'll just have to, okay. So this is the one little bedroom. We put a desk in here so that people have a good workspace. I think you have to go back. Like you have to go back really far.
You want the workspace?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to see what they can see. Okay, yeah, just tour. And yeah, the rooms are small, so it's hard to see the whole thing, but yeah, if you just kind of spin it. So you can see like lots of little art, love lots of decor, and the pillows make the fun stuff. We try to make everything as functional as possible. So we always make sure that every room has a mirror, and then obviously somewhere to store clothes. And so, again, the fun little knickknacks are great. So yeah, and then this one had a desk because there was nowhere in the living area to put a desk because it is quite a small living area. So that's the bathroom. This was fully remodeled. It's a little awkward, but it's a little house, so we did the best we could with what we had, but brand new. Now
look at those tiles, eh? How many of you want that in your house, right? And this is all Rochelle. I don't touch design. I'm afraid of it.
And then here we have another bedroom. So we got a queen size bed in here. The other room was too small to fit a queen size. We generally like putting queen size beds in all of them, but didn't really work. There's our furniture refinisher, did this dresser, which is awesome. Makes it one of a kind.
And who is that?
Monique at Modern Blend in Saskatoon.
Whoop, whoop. Gotta love shopping local in it where you can.
All right, and then we're gonna come back through the living room, and then from here, here's our team. So we have Brad, our sales director, for those of you who've met him. We have Ashley, who is our social media unicorn, and then we got Bailey, who is Brad's assistant and helps us with all things in between. So obviously, we completely ripped apart this room to make it good for the podcast or webinar today. Webinar, I think, yeah. But you get an idea. We'll put it back together after. No big deal. And then here's the kitchen, which again, got some stuff from the living room, but this kitchen was actually here. We didn't actually do it, which is awesome. When we bought the house, it was already done. It's on the small side, but again, it's a little house in North Park, so that's it.
Lots of cupboard space though for such a small area.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're at 18 people. So
All
let's do
right.
it. Okay, so we'll go into the basement. So this house is a little bit weird in the fact that the master was in the basement. But again, small houses, what do, right?
Do you know the square footage, Rochelle?
No.
No? Okay.
I don't know any of the details. I just make them pretty. Okay, and then in here you have to go through the mechanical area, which is kind of whatever. But in here, this is the master. So you gotta give them the full view. So we made this one pretty glam. So I made it a Marilyn Monroe glam themed bedroom. So I thought that was kind of fun. And I was totally inspired by this bed, actually. I got it at a thrift store and I completely loved it.
Ooh.
So we made it really luxe.
I just like how this carpet feels. And
Yeah.
love.
Can't have enough love, especially
Right.
at a time like now.
Right.
And then we've got the walk-in closet and the master ensuite.
Ooh, here we're heading into the closet, right? Oh yeah, there we go. Nice big closet. And then ensuite. Ba, 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 ba.
So again, little bathroom, but we did what we could. It got a full overhaul because it was in really bad shape when we bought this property. But, you know, about $3,000 in full finishings and bada bing, bada boom, we're done. So we'll go back upstairs now. We'll head back upstairs and then we'll start this webinar. I hope everybody's on who wants to be. Don't forget to put your questions in the chat so that we can answer them for you. And then, yeah, this is the...
Yeah, this is not the quite so pretty. This is the actual back end of the house. There, I hope you enjoyed that. You can see we're always keeping busy anyways.
All right.
Set up here again.
Do we have questions? Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so can we see ourselves? So now we are gonna grab our drinks. Does everybody have their drinks? Do you have a drink?
Oh yes, I have a drinky drink.
Okay, so I've got tea. Alyssa's got
Actually a protein shake, believe it or
yay.
not.
Actually, yeah, I'm actually being healthy. Good for you.
Trying.
And for anybody who's at home and not working right now, I mean, if you've got wine or
Vodka,
we won't judge.
lots of it.
Glad you're here.
Yes.
So it looks like we have some stuff in the chat, so we'd love to answer that. Somebody had just said that there was a question about the flooring in the master bedroom. So actually we did vinyl plank throughout this entire house, and that's usually the model we use. I did put a really big, beautiful, lush area rug to warm it up, and that's what Alyssa was talking about with the fuzziness on the feet. So yeah, that's what's in there. Do you want to talk about the flooring? We get amazing deals because we buy by the pallet.
Yeah, we have heavily shifted to vinyl plank products, whether it's Airbnb or rental properties. The difference is just cost points and colors, basically. For our rental properties, we typically do closer to a 4mm or less than a 7 and do the vinyl plank. And we're getting it for a very, very good price point by ordering it by the pallet. Then all we do is order the same colors. We have 2 color schemes for our rental properties, actually. That's how it's so easy and quick to go in, renovate for rental properties. On this side, obviously, everything is a lot more individualized for the Airbnbs. So what happens is Rochelle will go shopping, or even some of our team members now know Rochelle's taste or direction she goes in with a property. And what she does is they know what she's looking for. So they'll, hey, this is on sale for this much. She'll go have a look. Yep, that works. That's going to fit. Or when she's not here, which is more of the time than usual, she will like video call with somebody through whatever channel. Facebook Messenger or FaceTime or whatever.
Or WhatsApp,
yeah.
whatever works.
Yeah, and then we go from there. So that's really the kind of flooring and how we find it is honestly our team is awesome and inspiration, but on the rental side, we have a gray color and we have a brown color, and that's it. We do not customize our rentals. We do not, they are wash, rinse, repeat, so we can get them in, get them out, whatever the case may be.
And again, for those of you who might not know, might not follow us, all we do with our rentals is we look for safe, sound, and secure, right? We don't do pretty, shiny, or new. So that's why sticking with the base colors, again, we only have 2 paint colors too. And the reason we have 2 is because if it's a house that already has brown floors, then we use the brown paint or beige. It's a nice, it's like a
Irish
grayish,
cream
yeah.
is what it's called for all of you out there that can appreciate that.
And then if it's like more gray toned house, then we use the gray paint and the gray flooring to fix whatever we need to do. Because again, we're not going to repair anything that doesn't need to be repairing. If it doesn't make it more safe, sound, or secure, we don't spend the money there. Okay, so we have a couple questions. So one is, what is the timing of the USA expansion? So we are moving forward, even though I'm not in the States anymore because I came back because all the craziness and whatnot. So we are moving forward with still incorporating everything, and we're just doing that remotely. So it's going to be about 3 to 4 weeks, the lawyer said, before everything is set up and ready to go. But I would say, where are we? I don't even know. I like lose track of days, but I'd say by mid-May, we should be ready to launch for US investors in the States. Again, it's going to be slower than if I was there full time, but we'll just start and kind of buy as many houses as we need based on the investors' demand. So great question. So I love that you guys have been following along, and yeah, we will keep you guys posted as soon as we have that though. All right, so another question. Oh, so sorry, that one was from Nicolette. Thank you, Nicolette. And then this next question.
Merv, it's how long has this specific reno been in the works? Time of possession to current state?
So full disclosure, great question. Thanks, Merv. This was actually supposed to be a flip because it's actually in a very desirable neighborhood of Saskatoon. It is in North Park. So anybody who knows Saskatoon knows that that's an area that usually homeowners live in. But we
close to the river valley. So if any city that has a river, usually that's very elite property.
Yeah. So ironically, when we bought it, we were going to do a quick flip, and then we actually just bought so many houses that it was just insane. And so we decided that we were just going to leave this one for a while. And so it's been months. We've actually had this house for over a year. So again, we go priority of what makes sense at that time. And, you know, we buy 15 to 20 houses a month, and sometimes they sit for longer. So this one actually sat for a while. Once our team actually got in here, they did all new flooring, they did all new paint, all new baseboards, and then did the bathroom guts. It probably took them, again, they don't work on one specific property, but we actually hired outside contractors to get us all caught up. So once they got in here, I'd say they were what, 3 to 4 weeks? I don't know.
Yeah, it was actually about 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, 5 to 6 weeks. So it was a longer one, but it was a lot. And again, that's kind of like in and out and whatnot. But yeah, so longer than it could be if we were just working on one property at a time. But again, when we've got like 60 houses under renovation, there's a lot of juggling. And so, yeah, so that's why we ended up keeping it as an Airbnb, because by the time we ran the numbers, it actually didn't make sense to flip it for what we had into it. So we're just going to use it as an Airbnb. And then, you know, in 5, 10 years, whenever this market ends up turning into a hot market, we'll flip it. We'll probably add a garage, and then we'll flip it to a homeowner. So again, sometimes we just got to pivot, right?
I call it pivot and adapt. Pivot and adapt, and it's very prevalent right now. And you know, these are the things that sometimes happen. Again, people have to understand we're not dealing with 3 or 4 projects. Like Rochelle said, we're dealing with 60, 50 at a time, right? So it changes your dynamics of what you're doing. We ended up with a large portfolio of rental properties that we took on, and we had to foster that, right? So again, it's all about pivoting and adapting.
And the numbers at the end of the day. So a question here from Lisa. What percentage of the portfolio is Airbnb versus long-term rental properties? Great question. Thanks, Lisa. So for this, you know what? It's kind of funny. The Airbnbs, so there's the backstory here. I get bored.
There's always a backstory.
There's a backstory for everything, yeah. I get bored really easily. So anybody who knows me knows that, like, I hate being in the same place for longer than a week at a time. I like new adventures, and I like just doing new things all the time. And I love design, right? That's my passion. I love it. There's not necessarily a lot of money in it here because we can't really flip to the public because our market's in a slow market. But that's why we decided to do the Airbnbs, because I actually went to pick up something from somebody off of Facebook Buy and Sell, and I went to her house. This was about 3 years ago. I went to pick up these side tables and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, your house is so cute. She's like, thanks, it's my Airbnb. And I'm like, pardon you? This is Saskatoon. Who does Airbnb here, right? And this is crazy because we stayed in Airbnbs for years. But I just, you know, completely. Sometimes you just don't even think about something that's like right in front of you, right? But in my brain, I'm like, who comes to Saskatoon?
Apparently a lot of people.
Yeah, apparently they do. Who knew? So from there, I went back and told Alyssa, damn, Matt, I want an Airbnb. And she's like, oh my God.
Because I need another arm of the business to foster, right? Because that's what I need on my plate.
Yeah. So from there, we were working with a really good agent at the time, and he was like, you know what? And again, I always just tell people, because the universe is huge, right? Again, sometimes people don't believe in manifestation and stuff like that, but I swear to God, it is a real thing. And so because I had released that out into the universe, what did the universe do? It had to provide, right? So it was actually over 2 years ago, and it was in the winter, because I remember we were going to view this house, and it was literally like we were walking in like mile-high snow. It was crazy. It was a blizzard. Anyway, whatever. So we go, because again, nothing stops. We got to keep moving, right? And so from there, we go look at this house, and it was actually in Caswell, which is super close to the edge of downtown in Saskatoon. So great location. And it was a block away from where this other lady was hosting her Airbnb, which I was like, that's cool. But how the agent found this on MLS was he was like, I was scrolling through the pictures and I noticed 3 kitchens, but nowhere on the listing did it say there was 3 suites. It just said 2 suites. And we were like, good catch, let's go look at it. Went and looked at it, 3 like literally turnkey rental property, or 3 suites rental property. And we were like, holy smokes. So there wasn't enough money to flip it. So we could just called one of our current hassle-free landlord owners, and we were like, we just found a gem. Do you want another one? Because they like the higher price properties. And they were like, done, let's make it happen. So it was listed at $329,900. We ended up getting it for $305,000. And we went in and put about maybe $5,000 worth of renovations. We had to do a couple renovations, whatever. And then literally 2 months later, it was up and running. So that's a 3-suiter. And then we have multiple 2-suiters, blah, blah, blah. We've got lots of different properties. But now we've got 11 spaces, but some of them are double suited. So I think it's 6 houses. I was
going to say 6 houses, which is about 1.4% of our portfolio.
Because we've got over 400 regular properties, and these are just thrown in. So it's a very, very, very marginal amount.
So we've got, I think it's Jerry. What is purchase price and rental budget for this Airbnb?
Oh my God, you know what? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
We bought this house, like I said, over a year ago. I think we bought it, if I remember correctly, I want to say we bought it for, it was 210 or something.
Was it?
Yeah, 214. It was higher, yeah, it was over 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say we bought it for 210, and I want to say we put 50 into it.
Yeah.
Again, like if you think about holding costs and everything, because we pay our investors very well, right?
Yes.
So they get paid no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So even though this house went over our timeline and went over our budget, our investors still made their double-digit returns, because again, if things go wrong or if things go sideways, we eat the losses, not our clients, right? So another big thing about working with us. And so, and it is a 3-bed, 2-bath. It's probably going to rent for right now, because with the whole COVID thing, the prices are lower. So I'd say it's probably going to rent for like $80 a night. But when things start to get back to normal and we're renting it for normal, it'll probably be $90 to $100 a night. So I mean, it's not gonna make a lot of money. It'll just rent and make us more money than it would if it was just a regular rental.
Yeah.
And so the Airbnbs we have right now, they're basically purposely bought.
Yes.
So they're area or houses that are in better neighborhoods where we wouldn't have been able to afford to keep them as hassle-free landlord houses with our investors if we weren't running them as Airbnbs. So that's for us how we've basically started into the Airbnb.
We have a huge variety of rental properties. So Airbnb is one aspect of our rentals. Then we have our social assistance housing. Then we have rental properties that are more standardized for working families. Then we have student rentals. So we actually touch a lot of different varieties of demographics of rental properties. So again, this is what's cool about us. We kind of deal very much in the buy, rent, and hold area, but we diversify amongst that, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So, Alan, how is COVID-19 affecting monthly rent collection? Okay, so we have had to pivot and adapt lots of our procedures and policies and systems in that area. So some of the big things that we've done, I've leaned on my team for some of that creativity. So I went and I looked up, okay, what are policies that are out there? As a small business, you were deemed having to write out a policy for your employees to stay safe through this time. So I went and wrote it up, got it delivered to everyone, and then everybody started getting creative. So some of the things that we did for rent collection, I'm not sure if you're meaning actual physical rent collection or if people aren't paying their rent. So I'll touch both, just in case. So as far as people paying the rent here, honestly, out of all of our portfolio, I've had 3 properties that have been an issue for rent not coming in, out of all of them. Our phones are actually ringing off the hook. We filled 10 rental spots last week because we have this phenomenon of Saskatchewan has a large northern community, and rural community. So a lot of them are like, maybe while this is happening, we don't want to be this remote. So they're all migrating to the city because they're like, well, if food's going to be a little harder to get, we're going to be the first ones that get cut off. If medical care gets a little harder to get, we're going to be the first ones cut off. So that has been kind of what's happening. The other problem is there's been a lot of facilities calling. It's not a problem, it's a great situation for us, but a lot of groups are calling us to help find housing for people in their programs. So everyone from the Salvation Army to the Lighthouse to, I can go on and on and on, because there's a ton of people that are homeless that they don't want them out on the streets right now, so they have to have facilities. So we've, again, pivoted and adapted to, we're taking 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom houses and renting them by the room, and then placing people with similar social dynamics together so that now it's affordable housing for them, and they're also of the same mindset and circle of life, so that they'll have the similar problems and scenarios to deal with. So that's how we're handling some of that stuff. So as far as us, we're like filling properties as fast as we can. And as far as people paying rent, again, a large portion of our portfolio is actually social assistance. And even a lot of the social workers have been so good here to educate their clients on, you know what, your money came from being on social assistance. You're not a working person. You don't fall into the program of, hey, you may be able to not pay your rent. So what are we doing with the tenants who are not paying rent? Honestly, there's not much we can do. We're not super concerned with it. Again, when you have hundreds and hundreds of houses and you only have a few that aren't paying, it spreads out over the masses, right? It's not the same scenario as someone that's only got 2 or 3 or 4 houses, right? That's your most dangerous position.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Again, we try to educate people that if you're going to be a landlord who only has a handful of houses, say if you have 5 houses and 3 of yours go rogue, I hope you have deep pockets so that you can ride out stuff like this, right? So again, we try to educate the masses. In working with us as a hassle-free landlord owner protects you, because again, we take all the risk. So all the stuff that's happening is happening, and we are literally having those losses. So those 3 properties where the tenants aren't paying, our hassle-free landlord owners still got paid rent on the 1st of every month, because that's the agreement, right? And so again, when people are like, I don't understand the benefit of being a hassle-free landlord owner. Okay, that's cool. If you want to be active and you want to keep everything for yourself, no big deal. You go and do it on your own. Don't come crying to us 6 months after something like this happens and you didn't invest properly. It has nothing to do with us, right? So again, we just give people an option. It's a win-win strategy. It works for some, not for others, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But we need to move on. So okay. Monica, are you changing any strategies as a result of coronavirus?
So I touched on that briefly before. So, for example, how are we collecting rent? Well, almost every one of our houses has a mailbox. So what our team does is they'll text, call, knock on the door, say, I'm here, put your stuff in the mailbox, and then the team member grabs it. And if it's a receipt, they sign it, put it in there, back and forth. So no one is actually physically touching anyone. No one is having contact with anyone. I kind of had an inkling that this was going to happen and things were going to get kind of crazy. So I had actually been proactive and we had ordered gloves. I actually went above and beyond, like masks. I actually ordered N95 respirators for every single one of our team members. So they are literally out there and actually protected better than a lot of our own healthcare workers, because that's how much I value our team, or how much we value our team members. So those are some of the things that we have put in place for dealing with keeping everyone 6 feet apart, washing hands. We've got baby wipes in plastic containers that we just pour disinfectant in, and you can pull them out and use them, because of course everybody bought all the Lysol ones. So we made our own.
Yeah, and then we also, for the office staff, because again, we are kind of more in contained quarters, but we have brought in extra cleaners. So again, the Airbnbs have been slower. We've been getting a lot of longer term stays, and we don't clean between long-term stays. So we have brought our Airbnb cleaners in to come and disinfect whenever everybody's in the office all day. So they come through twice a day. So just getting everybody to be more health conscious. Again, I'm sure everybody's got raw hands from using all the disinfectant and all that kind of stuff, keeping ourselves clean and everything, but that's where we're at. And then the other thing is back to the rentals. Like I've been working with the movers and our teams. We've already furnished 4 rentals. So when Alyssa's talking about renting out the room at a time, we're doing that. We're actually doing furnished rentals. So it jacks up the amount of cash flow that we have on our side. And again, furnishing stuff, the way we buy stuff at a discount, we've got people on speed dial for, cheaper, affordable mattresses and, dressers and all that kind of stuff. We buy a lot of discount stuff from hotels and whatnot. And yeah, the guys are actually moving a new property, another 5-bedroom house today. There's 3 more under renovation. Like if this is what the market is demanding, then we're just going to do more of it. Right. So
pivot and adapt. Pivot and adapt.
Yeah, that's literally what it is been.
So we've got the question from Lisa. Do you see your purchase prices coming down even in the current economic environments? No. Not where we are.
You have to remember, again, Saskatoon, we've been in a down market for the last 3 years, right? This is when we try to explain to people about economic cycles, right? So if you look at like the dips and the valleys and the highs and the lows and whatnot, essentially we right now are in a low, right? And we only buy at the bottom of the market. So literally there's nowhere else for the purchase prices to go. They're already at the bottom. So if you see this, lasting, and again, we have our own opinions. I don't want to get into that whole thing, but I don't think it's going to last another 3 months. And I think that if this is all the quarantining and the self-isolation is done within the next 3 months, I think a lot of people are going to be okay. And I don't think a lot of people are going to fire sale their properties. I think a lot of landlords are probably going to get out of this after everything kind of settles down, because they're going to be like, holy shit, man, I was not ready. I don't want to do that. And we're expecting a huge increase in our hassle-free landlord investors, because whether it's people who were active right now or realizing that if they would have had cash flow coming in every single month, that who cares? It doesn't even matter if you lose your job, because you have that cash flow coming in no matter what, right? I mean, we've had so many people message us, for like current investors. And again, we're super grateful for everybody. And they're messaging and they're like, man, you guys are the only thing that I can bank on at such an uncertain time, knowing that money is being, earning double digits, and that money is going to come in like clockwork. And that is absolutely amazing to be able to be that,
it's why we do it.
Yeah, the partnership for people.
Cool.
So yeah, I don't see our prices coming down.
I could see potentially where larger centers, say Toronto. I know you guys are in huge issues potentially with tenants, it sounds like. And so maybe areas like that, I could see where, like Rochelle said, landlords are going to go, you know what, here's the keys, I'm done. I can't wait 1.5 years to evict someone or deal with the current situation. Again, you have to understand here, that was not the situation. We were 2 to 3 weeks to getting a property back. So even with a 2, 3, 4 month delay here, we're only looking still at 2-3 months of a delay for getting a property back. Okay, so there's a big difference on comparing that stuff. So Alan, what percentage of your properties are rented to social assistance, and is that the government paying the rent on behalf of the tenants? That is correct. That is exactly what happens there. And what percentage? A very large percentage. So close to probably 85% of our rentals are of that demographic. And right now, to be honest with you, we're super happy we ended up going that route, because we've always said that, though. If you've listened to us talk from very early on when we talked about our business, people are like, why do you want social assistance tenants? And we're like, because they don't follow economics, okay? It doesn't matter if jobs go up or down. They don't care, okay? They don't work. They don't follow those programs. That they don't follow those cycles, right? So again, there's a trade-off for that. We have to have a very large team, because we have to be very, very present on dealing with the tenants and the housing. So again, it's a trade-off, right?
Yeah, the tenants are generally harder to manage. So again, a lot of people are like, oh, I'll just be like E.P.I.C and I'll just rent to social services tenants. Oh, may the Lord bless you if you want to do that and you don't have the team in place, because they're going to eat you alive. But you do you, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, that's that.
And then we have, is that Nicolette? Okay. How are you managing U.S. expansion and Canada at the same time? Will there be more tours?
More focus on one than the other. So again, anybody who's been following along knows that I spent all of the winter in Florida. Thank goodness. So again, I had to come back for the spring because again, this COVID thing came back, and I actually got here 4 days before everything started to get wild because my mom unexpectedly broke her leg in February. And so I cut my US tour short so that I could come home and surprise my family. I was only supposed to be here for a week, and then I was going to fly back to Florida, and I was literally going to drive up to the new city we're going to be launching so that we can start buying houses and doing the US expansion. Obviously, I'm still here. So that's gonna be
so
a thing.
excited.
Yeah, and I am loving every minute of it. Yeah. So anyway, but at the same time, everything happens the way it's supposed to, right? So what we're doing right now is basically just kind of reining in and focusing all of our energies in Canada. So Alyssa's been working really hard to actually expand to the next Saskatchewan city, which is super exciting. And that has been taking so much time and energy. So I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, really the biggest and largest amount of work is setting up the systems in the background. Again, it's our first time expanding to another city. So again, it's been cool setting up in Saskatoon. There's been so many lessons gained, and I really feel dropping into this next city will go very smooth. And because biggest reason is because we've learned a lot. And that's the key to doing any of this stuff, is make sure anything that doesn't go right is a lesson that you don't forget, so that moving forward, you have that in your portfolio of knowledge, because it's so important. It'll just help you carry on and keep pushing to go further if that's what you're needing to do. So as far as this expansion goes, we aren't announcing yet where we're headed. We are heavily buying properties there, and then once we have hit a certain number and the team is put together, we'll basically announce and let everybody know where it is. From there, we'll also announce the same thing in the States. Once we reach there, we'll announce the same thing, where we're at and what city it is. And honestly, we'll just keep announcing all the other ones. And you know, it's funny, again, anyone who knows Rochelle and I from the beginning, what was our favorite saying? We're going to take over Saskatoon and then the world, right? So,
and it's crazy because a lot of people are like, yeah, okay. And we're like, whatever, we believe it. And that's all that matters. Right?
Yeah.
So again, thank you guys so much for those of you who followed us and believed us from the beginning. And you know, everybody who's joined us along the way. Again, this journey to $1 billion is a big deal, right? So anybody who might not know that's what the goal is, right? So some people say, what's the goal? So our goal has always been to double our portfolio every year since we started, which we have done, right? We ended last year controlling $64 million worth of real estate. And then if you take that number and you double it every year, basically we're 5 years from controlling $1 billion worth of residential real estate, right? So again, it's a big journey. It's a big goal. We know we're going to hit it. We're probably going to hit it faster than 5, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And yes.
And so that's part of one of the reasons we expanded into the States, is because we needed, in order to hit those goals, we needed the inventory to make it happen.
Yeah. So another question from Monica. Are the US programs available to Canadians to invest? So yes and no. The reason that we are, it depends. Yeah, no, I hate that answer. But anyway, but it does though. So essentially, I would never consciously tell a Canadian investor to push their money over into the States right now, because again, the dollar sucks. But we do have some Canadians that already have cash in the States, right? Whether they get paid in US or whether they already have properties that they sold or whatever that might look like. If they already have funds there, then yeah, by all means, bring it on board. Let's do this. But essentially, it's going to be the exact same setup that we already have in Canada for Canadian investors. So we're going to have the fund to flip opportunity. And then again, if any of our Canadian investors want to invest with us in the States and they have US money there, they'll get grandfathered in at whatever rate they have in Canada. They'll move that over into the States. And then any new investors would be getting the 15% on the hassle-free, 10% on fund to flip for any new US investors. So the thing is, the reason we started in the US also, besides needing more properties, is because as an American, they don't qualify for hassle-free landlord houses in Canada with 20% down because they'd be a foreign buyer. So this is why we needed US inventory, so that the Americans can purchase properties with 20% down, and for them, they're just in the same country. But again, the opposite is true. So Canadians can't go down to the States and buy a property with 20% down because they're a foreign buyer there. So again, it depends. And you know, we can definitely talk to people on a case-by-case basis, but generally it's, if you already have US cash down there, you can definitely bring it over, but I would never suggest that somebody transfer the money. So hopefully that answers that question.
Okay. Jerry, do you receive the money directly from social assistance or do you collect from the tenants themselves? Actually, both. So we still have here where it is a portion is sent to the landlord if the tenant signs it over. Okay, that is up to the tenant though. Okay, so it's on them to decide that yes, I'm going to do this. But it honestly, we have our systems in place for collecting rent. We educate our tenants. And our big one is we have a lot of our tenants pay most of their rent on the 1st, and then they do a catch up on the 20th due to how their paydays work, basically. And with that happening, it allows us to communicate and offer something that a lot of other groups or landlords don't offer. Everybody else wants the money on the 1st up front, done. Okay. So by us offering those kinds of things, it works very well, even if we're collecting it from the tenant themselves. So that is basically that.
Yeah. And then again, our property management team, our property care specialists have worked really hard at building amazing relationships, right? So it's pretty interesting, especially being in Saskatoon, because again, we have most of our houses are in the inner city, which again, is a tough tenant profile to manage if you don't manage them well. But again, for us, I always like to say we rent to the best of the worst. Right? So again, we're not judging. We're just not going to rent to drug dealers, prostitutes, or gang members. That's just not our scene, right? So have we taken over other people's properties? Not if they've got those in them. We'll, if they evict them, we might take over the property, but it's just not our scene. You know, again, sometimes the property or a tenant will go rogue and we'll have to come in and clean it up. I mean, it happens. It's a numbers game. But generally, our tenant profile are people who are just wanting a safe, sound, secure place to live, and they want to be around their friends. So there's actually a really high demand for being in the inner city.
So Mary's wanting to know, what is your backup plan if something happens, death, accident to one of you regarding managing the business? This is a great question. So a lot of people see Rochelle and I, maybe 1 or 2 other people. We are actually at over 60 employees. We call them team members now. And so what we're doing is Rochelle and I are strategically backing ourselves constantly out of the business. So replacing ourselves in an area by hiring the right management person or group. So our goal is within 2 years basically is be at a place where we have a board of directors and a CEO. Like, we're looking to back ourselves continuously out of it so we can have lives again, right? We love what we do, but we also, there's so much more we want to create and so much more we want to educate people on and so much more we want to be involved in. There's so many businesses we could be starting and being part of, and it's very almost frustrating being entrepreneurial, growing this. It was probably the hardest lesson for us was to learn how to focus and realize, okay, hassle-free, fun to flip, hassle-free, fun to flip. Because before it was like, ooh, shiny object syndrome. We were every direction. And then, I know. And it's not that we can't, right? Like we can, but it doesn't help the mass growth that we deep down ultimately wanted. And once we put that into perspective, that's what happens. So to go back to your question, honestly, that's exactly what we set up. We set up massive insurance policies. So if one or the other of us disappears, then there is a strategic plan in place. I shouldn't say disappears.
That's a horrible word.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
Anyway, no.
Like something happens. I don't like saying, we're such manifestors.
Yeah.
We don't like saying, so I'll say if one of us gets run over by a herd of unicorns, then basically, you know, that's in place. And honestly, like we said, we have office managers now. There's so much happening in the background that honestly, within 2 years, it'll literally be running itself.
Yeah, and it's interesting also, I'm using that word a lot today, but it's wild actually. Again, the manifesting thing is really strong. And it's literally mind-blowing how many amazing people have actually joined our team. And it was just because like we attracted them, I guess. Like, it's an energy thing, right? So we've had people reach out and they're like, I don't even know what I can do for you. I just want to be part of your team. I want to be part of what you're building. How could I see myself in there or whatever? And so again, anybody who's reached out, we're like, let's set up a call. Let's find out what your area of expertise is. And we'll see if we can brainstorm a way for you to join. Because again, when people have that much passion about something like that, you can't fake.
No.
You can't buy that,
No.
right? Like, it's the same thing with work ethic. You can't beat that into people.
No.
I wish I could, but that's illegal. That's wrong. So,
and under that, is stabbing them or running them over. It's not an option.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to touch people. We know this. So anyway, no, that's just, totally joking around. I have a bad temper if anybody knows me, and I like when things are perfect. So that's where the jokes come from. Anyway. Okay, we're running out of questions though. Do you guys have any more questions? We'd love to. We have 20 minutes left, so we would love to be able to answer any questions you guys might have. In the meantime, let's talk about this webinar. Why did we decide to do this?
We just thought, why not? A lot of you are unfortunately in a situation where you are sitting at home and, everybody's looking for things to do potentially, or looking to educate or think about, hey, what's going to happen next? Or what could I do to maybe further protect myself? It was funny. I showed Rochelle this morning. I woke up at 6 a.m. and I did a little write-up about, I've had so many people come at me, oh my gosh, you're doing so much, you guys, and everything. And it's because we're essential. With the housing we're providing, we are essential. If we weren't doing what we're doing, these people wouldn't have a place. And then what, right? That's not good for anyone. So, it's growing into this thing where it's like, holy crap, we got to keep going here. We got to get this, and so again, it's a blessing in disguise, that aspect, right? And we're like, okay, let's maybe put out there that, there is some things that aren't necessarily horrific over this. I mean, we understand it's scary, to be honest with you. It's uncertainty, and that bothers people, right? Putting your faith into the unknown, right? So Rochelle's talking about manifestation. That's a reason why we're here. Hey, how many of you even understand what that really is, where you're actually using your mind and repeating to yourself, what are the things that you desire? What are the things you're looking for? And making it happen, right? And we're huge on that. We've watched it from the day we started this to where we are now, how often it happens. It's like, we actually jokingly will be talking about something and we go, whoa, don't say it. I know what you're thinking. Do not say it, because I don't have the time to put the paperwork into what you want right now. Wait 6 months and then say it out loud. Yeah. Right? Like, I'm not even joking. That is how we operate. Like, it's crazy how that is a big part of this. So yeah, again, and we're like, where can we help people? How can we help people, right? Well, maybe somebody will learn, how to keep their property management team safe through this. Like I talked about, I'd been proactive. I saw things, I was like, geez, this is weird. And really the cost of buying those 50, 60 masks, I was like, really? In the whole scheme of the entire business, is that gonna make or break us? No. Right? Are they useful down the road regardless? Yes. So, those kinds of things. And we're like, well, let's put this out there. And, how can we help you? There's a lot of people, they don't know their job, where it's going to be tomorrow. So, what does it do for you to get 2 or 3 hassle-free landlord houses? And now all of a sudden you have $1,000 to $1,500 of extra cash flow that you didn't have 3 weeks ago, right? How does that change you in this situation? Does that alleviate some of your stress? After a few months of rent, you now have a huge, amount in a savings account that you can lean on if your jobs change, right? So we're trying to explain to people, this is not the time to sit back and watch and give up. Yeah. This is a time to be like, okay, the world has changed. I need to educate, and I need to figure out how can I even elevate more and protect my family that much more, right? And so we're like, well, why don't we tell people what we have and what we can offer, and how can we get into a partnership together so that we can help each other?
Yeah. So from there, basically the whole idea was we wanted to bring you a weekly webinar while we're all in this quarantine and self-isolation and whatnot. And again, we are out in the public, and we are, well, again, not talking on people, and we're keeping our distance, right? Yeah. But essentially we are here and we're still doing stuff. And so the amazing thing, we had talked about doing a webinar podcast type thing, whatever, for a while, but the amazing thing that makes us stand out from other people is, and this is where
there's a lot of things, but we'll leave it there.
Well, yeah. Don't get started on that one. But essentially, what makes us different than everybody else who's shooting webinars and whatnot? Location, right? So what we're gonna do is, for this whole quarantine self-isolation time, we're gonna come to you from a different location every week.
Yeah.
But
we got a lot of houses, so we're like, why not?
Yeah.
you know,
So
and they're being worked on. Some of them are empty. Like it's not hard for us.
Yeah. So whether that be a house that we just bought, and we'll take you through that, or whether it be a current Airbnb that might be empty for the time, or whatever, maybe it'll be from one of our houses. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
There's just so much opportunity. So that's what we're going to focus on. That's what we're going to do. But we are going to come to you weekly, and we are going to make sure it's both of us, because again, we balance each other out right away. And then we are going to do it weekly. So it won't be the same time. It won't be the same date, like the day of the week. It'll be different every single week. So make sure that you stay tuned to our social media, because we will be putting that out there, and then you can join us on the next one. Feel free to send us your messages as well. If there's a time that works best for you, let us know. Maybe we'll do some polls on our social media, see what makes sense, whether it be during the day or evening, why not. You guys can still register and get the replay as well. We'll put a link for that. Again, if anybody misses it, or if you got some content in here that you figure one of your friends should have seen,
or you want us to expand even deeper on something, by all means. Like we could, if somebody says, hey, I really want to see one of your social assistance boarding houses that you like, rooming houses that you have. Okay, great, good. Then we'll take you through one of those. Or let us know. Like, we're here to help you guys. We're here to hopefully put a smile on your face, let you know that, there's lots of different things happening, and there are some things that people can learn from this whole thing that'll hopefully allow them to move further and better their lives.
Yep. So a couple things. We're going to decide and email out the info this afternoon for our next time, because we got so excited about this one, we didn't think about the next one, right? We just wanted people to show up and say hi.
Get it going and then get perfect. That's how Rochelle does everything, and then I pick it up.
I love you. Thank you. So kind of the Tasmanian devil whirlwind. That's how I run. Yeah. So we have a couple more questions. Thanks, guys. So Lisa, how does your pipeline look right now in terms of balance between HFLP and Fund to Flip? So Fund to Flip, we are buying about 15 to 20 houses a month right now, and that's pretty consistent. It's not changing. If we get more money, we'll buy more houses. Come on, people, right? And so anybody who's a new investor knows that, or like as of April 1st, we are paying 10% on the Fund to Flip opportunities for any new investors. Anybody else who already has an existing Fund to Flip deal, you get grandfathered in at whatever rate you were getting before. So feel free, if you want to bring more money, no big deal. For hassle-free landlord, we do have a large inventory right now. So we are basically wanting to spice things up when it comes to that. We actually have a surprise announcement. Are we telling them? Are we waiting until next week?
We wait.
Okay,
we better wait.
They gave us
attention. The team, they're like, no, abort!
Yeah, so they've been working really hard on creating all the content and everything, but we do have a really exciting announcement for the hassle-free landlord houses.
Pay attention next week.
Coming next week, so we'll leave that a secret. But essentially, I mean, we are still flowing, we're still moving. Yeah. So, I mean, that's all good.
Again, you have to understand, we surrounded ourselves with the best team members that we can. So even our mortgage brokers that we pair with for these opportunities for our clients are phenomenal at what they do. They are working just as hard as we are. And I mean, all of that, what they're doing can be 100% done virtually, right? So that's an amazing thing right now, that so much can still be done virtually, right? Like through a computer or over the phone. And that's pretty cool that this stuff can keep going because of that.
Yep. So another question for Merv, who should I contact if I want to discuss this opportunity in more detail? So essentially you can message us on Instagram, you can message us on Facebook, you can send a message to our website, which is epicallianceinc.com. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I obviously don't go there very much.
We have great people that build it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. No, it is
too busy.
It's a great website. And again, we have people for that.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And then
technology.
But at the end of the day, I do take all the calls that come through there. So my number directly, if you want to get a pen and paper, it is 306-717-7848. I always answer my phone, except for right now because it's on airplane mode. But essentially, I'll take a call with you and I can explain everything for you. And really what a call looks like, it's about 15 minutes to 30 minutes. And I just want to find out about you. I want to find out what your financial goals are. I want to find out what it is you want more of in your world. And I want to find out what it is you're working with, right? So some people have lots of cash. Some people will have underperforming invested funds. Some people have lots of equity in their houses, and we can show them how to tap into that. So I make it all about you, and then we see if we might work together, right? So again, I've had calls with people and they're like, oh, well, I'm an active landlord and I'm not used to sharing anything and I have houses that are paid off to nothing and that makes sense. And I'm like, that's the opposite of how we invest. So doesn't work for us, but have a great life. Bye. And that's cool. That's fine. So, yeah. So again, Paul, if you want to set up a meeting, we'd love to.
And I can give my phone number. I do deal more with the team member side and the system side. I can also talk about the stuff that Rochelle's talking about, but I typically talk more to people about that. So maybe you have a situation with a rental property and you want to just have a soundboard. I'm available at 306-717-3351.
And then we'll put those numbers in the comments as well so that you guys have them. So Monica, how actively do you work with people to help them get funding, example, qualifying for a mortgage if unemployed? So again, we do have amazing mortgage brokers who are very active and very creative as well. At the same time, they still go through A and B lenders. So they still have to follow the rules, right? So if you're unemployed, you have to still have an NOA, right? If you have 2 years of your notice of assessments and you're self-employed, you can use those to qualify, but you still have to follow the rules. You still have to have income. You still have to follow the debt service ratio. So at the end of the day, if you don't qualify for a mortgage and our mortgage brokers can't get it done, I guarantee you nobody is going to get you a mortgage. And it's just the way it is. So again, pivot and look at other ways of investing. Again, we have many opportunities. It's just a matter of booking a call and then we can customize something that would work and make sense for you.
That's why the discovery call is just so important, because we really do break down who you are and where you're at and how does it pair with who we are.
Yeah. So we have 10 minutes left. We're just getting the warning. So we got a few more questions here. We'll start tying it up, but here's one from Jerry.
Oh, do you have a concern if COVID-19 creates further shutdowns imposed by the government? What if tradespeople aren't able to work on properties or lawyers close office? Now, anything can happen. Absolutely. I mean, ultimately the dinosaurs could come back. I don't know. Anything could happen. If, again, we pivot, if the lawyer offices will never completely shut down because there's too much documentation that needs to keep flowing. So for example, one of the big documents that a lot of people are doing right now are wills, right? It's been on their minds. So that's what people are running and doing. It's something people should have done. We've done them, but it's something people should have done already. So those kinds of things, I'd be very shocked. And I think it'll go digital is what'll happen. It'll be conversations like this. The signatures will be through DocuSign, AuthentiSign. That's what'll happen.
Yeah, it'll just go online.
It'll pivot and adapt. Yeah. And as far as other things, I would be, again, to see your banks literally close their doors and do zero business. That would be a tough one to see, right? Like, who knows? Okay. And then as far as tradespeople go, well, in some places that could happen, maybe, but here last week it was -24. So if we had no tradespeople to keep furnaces going, people would die. Literally, people would die from being cold.
So when they talk about essential services, there are some that are more essential than others.
Yeah.
And I really think that plumbers and electricians and tradespeople are one of these essentials. And so again, it goes back to how Alisa and I built the business, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't have just a real estate investment operation, guys. Correct. We literally have a construction company. Yes. Right? So again, if they said like no real estate investors are allowed to work, we'd be like, okay, how about construction companies? How about property management companies? Yeah. Right? Again, like you guys have to think outside the box, right? Yeah. And that's what we do really well. So we're not just a one-trick pony, right? There's always a gray area, and that's where we tend to live and spend our time. So, absolutely. I mean, again, things could get bad, but back to that one question for Jerry, if things got really bad as far as like lawyers' offices aren't working and all that kind of stuff, basically everybody is going to be done. And it's not just us. It's literally every single person in the world. So I don't think it's going to go there because let's be real, we still have to keep something going. But again, we'll see how it goes. But we're not worried about it. Again, it goes back to the manifestation piece. You get more of what you focus on. So how about we quit focusing on all the doomsday bullshit and fear mongering and actually start thinking about really positive stuff and like think about what's going to happen when this is all over. Yeah. And what are you doing right now to make your world better in 3 months when this is all over? If you literally come out of here and you're like, I gained 20 pounds and I, got a drinking habit. Well, like give your head a shake, please. Yeah. Like whatever. So anyway, Merv, what is the average cost of most of your rental properties? So our average hassle-free landlord house is $200,000. Okay, we have everything right now from 105,000 to 400,000. Right? We have the brand new duplex that's being built. That one's going to be closer to 600,000.
We should film there one time.
Oh, we could.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, so it's two sides of a duplex. It's going to be the whole thing. So that one's going to be around 600,000. Again, that one's not going to be ready till June and whatnot. But that is, so the average is 200,000. So good question. And then, Jordan, we just got an amazing comment from one of our awesome investors. So yeah, they said, love being long-term investors with you ladies. Look forward to continuing our journey together and seeing how you grow. Thank you.
Thank you. That's going on my fridge.
That's awesome. But yeah, again, we love the messages like that because again, like we do what we do for you guys and for our team. And
that's why we call it a partnership.
Yeah.
It's not just a joint venture. This is a partnership. We are in this together. If you don't make anything, we don't make anything.
Yeah.
So we're all in.
Exactly. Because again, don't forget the way our business runs, it's that our investors get paid first, our employees and contractors get paid second, and then after that, we take whatever. And again, full disclosure, we don't take anything. We take enough to get by, but we roll everything we could make and could pull back into the business. So you won't find us driving fancy vehicles. You won't drive us. I live in the hood, man. I live literally in the worst 5 blocks of our city. Like our marketing team works in my basement suite. Like we're like ghetto real.
We're as we say, we're frugal as frack.
Yeah. Yeah, that's being nice. But yeah, and I mean, again, we wouldn't be able to grow our business if we didn't have that philosophy, right? Like that's where, like, could we have bled all the money out of the business and been living this high rollers for the last few years? I mean, we could have, but what would that have gotten us?
Nothing.
It wouldn't have gotten us, closer to financial freedom and retiring and all that kind of stuff. And again, like Alisa talked about, building the boards and building the team. Like that's not the vision. We're not short-sighted. We're very long-term planned, and that's the goal.
You have to be when your beliefs are take over Saskatoon and then the world.
Yeah.
Like you have to be.
For sure. So we're going to tie up here right away because we do respect your guys' time and we wanted to stick to 1-hour segments. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining us. I have appreciated all these questions. It's amazing. And thanks for our team for being here and putting this together, because we could not, believe me, we could not be doing what we're doing if we didn't have them.
It would not be pretty.
Is there another question coming in?
Just thanks for your time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
You.
And and I hope you guys enjoyed this. And again, if you want to share the recording, feel free. I think we're going to be sending those out or something. I don't know. Watch our social media stuff.
Yeah, they'll instruct you on the website and Tweety, Facebooky, something. So
Awesome.
stay epic.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
See you next week.